2. All courts, public officials, prosecuting authorities, administrative bodies, constables, agents, and officers acting within the jurisdictions of Scotland and England. Take notice that the following constitutional and legal principles are formally asserted and relied upon. Foundational constitutional authorities. The constitutional traditions of both Scotland and England recognise that slavery, involuntary servitude, and unlawful domination over living men and women are fundamentally incompatible with the principles of law and justice. This principle was authoritatively affirmed in Somerset v. Stewart 1772 and Knight v. Wedderburn 1778. English constitutional authority. In Somerset v. Stewart 1772, Lord Mansfield, sitting in the Court of King's Bench, held that slavery was so odious that it could exist only through explicit positive law. No such lawful authority existed in England. The court therefore ordered the release of James Somerset and refused enforcement of forced removal into slavery. Lord Mansfield stated, "The state of slavery is of such a nature that it is incapable of being introduced on any reasons, moral or political, but only positive law." Scottish constitutional authority. In Knight v. Wedderburn 1778, the Court of Session affirmed the ruling of the Sheriff at Perth, that the state of slavery is not recognised by the laws of this kingdom and is inconsistent with the principles thereof. The court thereby confirmed that perpetual servitude and domination over another human being were incompatible with the constitutional principles of Scots law. This principle has since been publicly commemorated by the Court of Session itself through the installation of an official plaque by Lord Carloway at Parliament House, Edinburgh. Continuing constitutional principle. The principles recognised in the above authorities remain part of the constitutional traditions of the United Kingdom and are reinforced by European Convention on Human Rights, Human Rights Act 1998, Scotland Act 1998, and fundamental constitutional principles concerning liberty, dignity, and justice. Article 4, ECHR, provides, "No one shall be held in slavery or servitude." This prohibition is absolute. Notice of objection to unlawful subjugation. Accordingly, notice is hereby given, that 1. No living man or woman may lawfully be treated as property, an instrument, or a subject of perpetual servitude. 2. No public authority may lawfully impose conditions amounting in substance to slavery, involuntary servitude, or unlawful subjugation, contrary to constitutional principle and fundamental rights. 3. The mere existence of statutory or administrative machinery does not legitimize actions fundamentally inconsistent with liberty, dignity, and justice. 4. All public powers must be interpreted and exercised consistently with the constitutional principles recognized in Somerset v. Stewart and Knight v. Wedderburn. Article 4, ECHR. The rule of law and the fundamental liberty of the individual. 5. Any act purporting to impose involuntary domination, compelled servitude, unlawful coercion, or denial of fundamental liberty, is expressly objected to and challenged as contrary to constitutional principle and human rights. Notice to all acting parties. All persons acting under colour of office, statute, warrant, policy, or administrative instruction, are hereby placed on notice that public office does not authorize unlawful conduct. Constitutional principles prevail over arbitrary exercises of power, and courts exist to uphold justice and liberty, not to enforce wrong. The principle associated with the historic proceedings in Knight v. Wedderburn is respectfully recalled. We sit here to enforce right, not to enforce wrong. Reservation of rights. All natural, constitutional, common law, and human rights are expressly reserved. No waiver of rights is intended or implied. Any continued attempt to impose conditions inconsistent with liberty, dignity, or lawful constitutional principle is challenged and objected to accordingly. Issued by We the People, Common Law Court, Croon Community. Date 12th of May 2026.